Welcome everyone to Qranker's Pit. Today is Wednesday, August 13th, and we've got so many great things to talk about tonight. We got a special guest. Ben Danklin is on Twitter, which formerly Twitter, now X, and I met Ben when I started following Rob Cunningham, and Rob couldn't be with us tonight because he's traveling with his daughter for college. So, but we have Anna Marins with us from Brazil. We got Mike Likens from Illinois. Dylan is always one of our treats. And then we have the one and only Jason Q along with us. So I want to start the show off with a little bit talking about what happened on Monday, and that's Federalized in Washington, D.C., and everything that's going on with the federalization. And what I wanted to do is have Ben read his post, which really interested a lot of us. Ben, if you could start off the podcast by what you posted on X regarding Washington, D.C. Can you start with that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Did you want me to screen record it or just read it?
You can just read it if you could. But this is an amazing post, and it's really grabbed a lot of people. So go ahead, Ben.
Sure. So this one is called Liberating the Capital. Something historic is unfolding in Washington, D.C. right now, except it may no longer be even Washington, D.C. as we know it. Trump has just federalized the National Guard, and according to intel drops from Mr. Poole, we may be on the verge of witnessing the new republic constitutional order come to life. Even Google Maps has quietly shifted into recent years, labeling it as Washington. Why would the world's biggest mapping platform strip DC from the name unless the status has already been changed? The kind of event we're living through could redefine America itself. For over 150 years, DC hasn't truly been America's capital. Since the Act of 1871, it's been a corporate city-state aligned with London and the Vatican, functioning as a foreign-controlled entity inside our borders. This wasn't just political corruption. It was an occupation in disguise. Instead of the beating heart of freedom, DC became the parasite feeding off the lifeblood of the Republic. Mr. Poole's drop makes the moves crystal clear. Federalizes Washington, D.C. It revokes autonomous status shared with London and Vatican. It frees D.C. from corporate tied to foreign bankers since 1871. This is not a mild reform. It's the equivalent of storming the enemy's headquarters, seizing their command center, and cutting their lifeline to the outside world. Why does federalizing the Guard matter so much? Because under Title 10, every soldier answers directly to the president, not the governors, not to mayors, definitely not to entrenched bureaucrats. It bypasses the corrupt political middlemen and connects the commander-in-chief directly to the boots on the ground. When that chain of command shifts, the entire battlefield changes. Then comes the IRS bombshell. Mr. Poole erases Internal Revenue Service, launches External Revenue Service. That was in quotes. Translation: the IRS, the private debt collection arm of the central bankers, would be dismantled. In its place, a structure designed to serve the people, not to enslave them. This would be the financial equivalent of breaking the shackles from every working American. This move aligns perfectly with the larger mission, the full restoration of the constitutional republic. No foreign bankers pulling the strings, no corporate puppet masters operating in the shadows, no middlemen skimming every paycheck to fund endless wars and black projects, just the original design, uncorrupted, unchained, and accountable to the people once again. In military terms, this is the equivalent of capturing the enemy's capital in one decisive strike, not to occupy it, but to liberate it from a century and a half of shadow rule. You don't just remove the flag of infiltrators, you burn their playbook, erase the influence, and restore the law of the land they tried to bury. History calls these moments turning points. This one could rival 1776. Once DC is cut free from its corporate leash, the dominoes fall at lightning speed. The Federal Reserve's grip on our money evaporates. The original Constitution becomes supreme law once again, The income tax scam dies alongside a global crime syndicate that created it. It's not just a political change, it's the demolition of a prison that most people didn't even know they were living in. This is why Trump always said, "We are giving the power back to you, the people." It wasn't a campaign slogan, it was a battle plan. You can't return power until you remove the thief's hand from the switch, break the lock, and throw the key into the fire. This is not a political stunt. It's the visible flash of a long running military operation, one that's been carefully staged in the shadows since before most people even knew the war had started. The goal is nothing less than ending the 1871 coup, reclaiming our sovereignty, and breathing life back into the republic our founders risked everything to give us. The corporate United States is collapsing under the weight of its own corruption. The constitutional republic is rising from the ashes like a phoenix. And one day, you'll remember exactly where you were when the Guard marched into DC, not as enforcers of the old order, but as guardians of the new. That day will mark the end of a hidden era of slavery and the beginning of an age where the people rule once again. The end.
That was a great post. And yeah, exactly. Standing ovation. Um,
I
it's,
appreciate it.
yeah, I mean, when I saw that post, I shared it with many other patriots that have been with me we've been together, not with me, but we've been together. And Mary, who actually put the audio on Telegram, she did a great job reading it, and she has a great way of reading text. But it is so powerful, those words that you put together, Ben, and I thought it needed merit and it needed more recognition other than on X, because everything that we've been studying, everything we've been learning has been everything about the cabal, the evil cabal, the spiritual war that we in. This is not about politics. This is strictly about spiritual warfare. And, you look at this panel with Jason and Dylan and Anna and yourself, and Mike has joined us now. We've really put the time and the effort. I mean, thousands and thousands of hours that we've put into this spiritual war to learn the truth. And the public, the general public doesn't understand it. They don't get it. And those words that you said that, we've been enslaved and we didn't even know it's so true. We've been living in a prison and we just don't know it because the prison is so big. And taking Washington, D.C. down as, Trump is, um, has so many layers to it. And Jason and Dylan, and we'll all get into that later in the show. It's much deeper. It's like a multi-layer cake that you don't have an oven big enough to get this cake in. And it's so deep. And I know many patriots are getting frustrated and they're saying what's taking so long. But if you understood what's happening in the financial world and what's happening behind the scenes, there's so many meticulous things in this plan, the plan to save the entire world, that the people that are running this plan, there's no words. There's just absolutely no words that can put together. And I know as much as we all learn, and as much as Jason digs into things, there's always every day his enthusiasm. Oh my God, you're not going to believe this. But I don't mean to ramble on, but I just wanted to emphasize that this federalization of Washington, D.C. is so much bigger and so much that more than what the eye see. And I would love everyone on the panel to kind of touch base on that. So why don't we go with ladies first? Let's go with Anna.
Thank you, Qranker. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Ben. Welcome to the pit. It's
Thank you.
very nice. It's very nice to hear your voice first, and it's amazing to have your text every day. Qranker always shares with us here in Brazil, and I must tell you that all the texts, most of the texts, the recent texts, have been translated to Portuguese and spread out with the voices of Brazil people, and it's so your work is helping a lot of people down here too. Well, not, I don't know if it's down here, but in South America. Thank you very much for your work and for being with us tonight. Yeah, well, regarding the federalization of DC, it's important to notice that it happened in August 11th. And when you do the numbers, you have the storm. If you do the numbers and you read it in Portuguese, you have 11/8 and a 9 in the end, right, Jason? Correct me if I'm wrong. You have 11/8, it's the storm, and it's the completion of a cycle. That's what I believe. And by and putting together what Ben has been telling us lately, and Ben, don't say you are only the age you are. You are much wiser than you believe you are, and all that you bring every day, it's we need fresh. We need what's fresh. What's old, it's done. We need what's new, and everyone is creating something new and bringing to the table for us all to put the pieces together, put the puzzle together. So I'm so excited about this week. I'm excited every day as Jason. I'm always cheering. Oh, look at this, Qranker. Look at this. I see that. I saw that. So I will repeat myself as every day we are saying I'm very happy to be alive in this moment. And I know the responsibility we all have. Not us, but all of us, like those who are watching, those who are talking, those who are decoding, those who are joining the party right now, or those who are already gone from this party, but they open up the gates for us to do what we are doing back in, like William Cooper and many other people who helped us later, earlier in this movement. So I don't I'm sorry, Cranker, but now I am the one rambling here. I'm sorry.
Well, we're just talking about Washington, D.C. and the federalization of Washington, D.C. So,
Oh yeah,
you know,
it's a hope.
there's
Yeah, that's the pit. That's the pit. We have a similar one here in Brazil. We have Brasilia, and it's literally a square, all Masonic decoded. If you, I did in the past, I did the measurements. They're exactly the plan. Well, I don't know if in the United States, our capital here, it's not Buenos Aires. Our capital is named Brasilia, okay? And Brasilia was built in 1960s. It was completed in 1961. And the whole map of Brasilia as DC, it's a Masonic map. It's a Masonic map. You have all the squares, all the buildings, underneath the buildings, the tunnels that are connecting to that place. It's a huge plan to continue what was going on over there to be completed down here in Brazil for 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 this moment in time. That's what they were planning to move the capital. That's what I believe, to move the capital for here. I don't know, or at least to continue the situation over here from Brazil. And my family is completely involved in the construction. Not because my grandfather was a patsy for that construction, and I am very grateful for the construction, because out of that construction, I had the resources to be able to be talking right now to you guys, to study, I don't know, to travel all over the world. But now I understand that how the plan was in fact to continue the witchcraft and the manipulation to humanity. The map itself is, they say it's an airplane, but in fact it's Isis, the god Isis, the goddesses Isis, in the central part of Brazil, over a huge jam the word is jam, a huge jam that exists over there, which would spread out the energy all over as a huge, maybe a huge obelisk, some kind of device to spread the energy. So we have the similar situation down in Brazil. Today, specifically today, I was doing the numbers for those crowd here in Brazil, and we have the at the how can I say, the Supreme Court, in fact, who is ruling in Brazil, who are trying to rule Brazil right now, is the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court are changing the powers over there. And by September, the president, when you do the numbers and you check the gematria, when you do the numbers, the president comes to a 98, which is 98 comes to 17, so the Q. And the vice president comes to 164, so a very prominent person that we have been talking about since I don't know, since 1963, when he saluted by the side of the road. So what I understand is that if we are not only bridging over here, but we are seeing the movie in front of our eyes. It's in your face, like Michael used to say. And now we can say it out loud. It's in your face because now we see it. Yeah, I don't want to keep the conversation regarding Brazil. I want to please guys to join. Yeah, and not be
No,
rumbling over you guys.
no, because it's you're bridging what's happening in DC is what's happening in Brazil.
Thank you,
So
Qranker.
we thank you for that, Anna. So let's jump over to Dylan. Dylan, why don't you give your perspective of what's going on with the federalization of DC?
Well, it's definitely major. I just did a video about this yesterday on so many different levels, on even on the local level of just actually taking down the crime and having that be the model of what they may do in other cities. On the Q level, let's call it, of actually arresting some of the people involved, the deep staters, let's say, starting with Obama and going down the list. And even beyond that, there's the occult levels and the international levels. And I don't know if most people understand or know that DC is home to a lot of very important international organizations. Almost not quite as many as based in Geneva, Switzerland, but DC is a major international hub, and it's definitely the globalists' hub for all of the Americas. So, including what Anna was talking about in South America and Brazil, it's like DC has been the globalist hub for controlling both of these continents, North America and South America. And so some of those international organizations are the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank Group, United Nations Information Center, Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, Pan American Health Organization, International American Bank Development, and Organization for American States. And then in addition to that, there are over 2,452 NGOs and think tanks in DC as well. And so this, we know from the past as well, Project for the New American Century, things like that. It's like they do a lot in DC. And let's not forget the House of the Temple, which is the headquarters of Scottish Rite Freemasonry in the Southern District of the United States. And so this has far-reaching potential. And this, a lot of people have been bringing up that DC is, one of the three city-states with the Vatican and London. But that's not even including with all these NGOs and international organizations that puts DC more on par with Geneva, as opposed to just being those three city-states, which are very important as well. But it's odd that Geneva isn't included in those three city-states that everyone talks about. As like someone decided like those are the three, But Geneva is definitely important too, as well as Basel, Switzerland. But DC is way up there, and the globalists have just run amok there, become so entrenched. And I almost wish Gene Decode was on here this week to talk about everything underground in DC. And just in Trump's press conference today at the Kennedy Center, which was just about, tributing some celebrities there. But he was asked a question about the Fed and the renovation at the Fed, and talking about how Jerome Powell was renovating the basement of the Fed, and how they had to like pump out the Potomac River, which was driving up all the costs. But like, there was definitely something expensive going on underground there, and there's expensive stuff going on underground throughout that entire city, tunnels under tunnels under tunnels, all the way down to probably freaking reptilian torture dungeons at the towards the bottom there. And so this is huge. I mean, just that one. I think the press conference that Trump did on Monday was one of his most important press conferences of all time, to be honest, in terms of seeing actual military action against the deep state. And so I can't eat enough popcorn. I actually stopped eating popcorn because I was eating too much, and it felt like it was becoming a problem. But I'm eating popcorn in spirit right now, so it's looking amazing, and can't wait to see what happens next.
Which kind of popcorn are you prefer, Dylan? Salty?
Organic from Whole Foods with
Organic.
just
Oh,
olive oil, yeah, and salt.
okay. Yeah, because we have to change, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned about Brazil, and I thank you for reminding me about the Condor operation. That's how they entrenched South America. And I remember there are some movies that we need to watch. I believe so. For 4 days, for example, it's from 1990s with Kevin Costner, and he narrates exactly the 4 days about the Guantanamo, the Bay of Pigs situation. It's a movie that people should be paying attention and revisiting. Of course, JFK, the movie, and all of that kind connects us and teaches us how they entrenched Latin America, and how President Kennedy has been already taking a part on all this on all those negotiations. And I remember one scene specifically about 4 days with Kevin Costner, when he mentions that President there was this situation about President Kennedy. The scene was President Kennedy, uh, his person of confidence, and Bobby, and they were all together in a room, watching, checking if the other person in Russia, if it was the real one. So all these clones, all these changes of personas. You have the main figure, but the one who is playing that person. It, so it's all in the movies. We just have to check the movies, because they told us in 1980s, during the 1980s, 1990s, how in 1960s they were already dealing with the situation we are dealing now, and people have such a difficulty on understanding how can they replace people, how can they negotiate with people and infiltrate countries. How was it done? So thank you, Dylan. I'm sorry to jump into your part, and
No,
I'm
good
sorry.
stuff. Good stuff. Jason, give us your perspective on the federalization of Washington, D.C. right now. I know this is going to be a lot for you.
All right. So, is it a federalization or a refederalization? Now is it under the constitutional republic?
I would agree with
Because the funny thing is it's all in the timing, right?
Mhm.
So it was on 8/11 that they declared that they federalized Washington, D.C., right? Moved everybody in. Well, funny thing is, they like to use their dates, right? So you got the Gregorian calendar, right? What's the difference between Gregorian and Julian? 13 days, right? Well, if you go from 8/11, you add 13 days, right? You get 8/24. Now, there's a couple big things that happened on 8/24. One of them happened to be in 2022, when President Trump turned himself in for that infamous mugshot photo in Georgia. Now we go back to 1814. That's when the British forces decided to burn Washington, D.C. So now we have to look at this whole War of 1812. It was all bullshit war anyways, because both sides were wearing the same identical uniforms, just different colors. So were they actually going and slaughtering people? Like killing, like what they're doing now? Like they want to take all they want to have their reset, right? So they want to round everybody up and put them in camps or do something like that. But there's people that got out. So now they did not succeed with that, right? With August 24th. Because now on 8/11, right? Yeah, 13 days. So technically, if they did on 8/11, it is 210 years and 352 days. 210352 is a 13 as well. We got that. Now, when we look at this whole thing, right, with the whole satanic, right, the flagpoles have to be a massive part of this. Because with him putting those flagpoles in, it connected the electrical grid of Pennsylvania Avenue through the White House. And it's a triple Q. Well, it's actually 5 Qs. Because if the flagpoles were both 88 feet above ground, right? Well, they didn't drill any caissons and pour any concrete, so it wasn't bolted in. So how tall was it overall? Remember, Trump's like, it's just under 100 feet. So what was it, sir? 98 feet? Put 10 feet underground? 10 and 10, right? So now we have that connection. So now, when he officially declared D.C. under federal rule, what else did he mention with that? He mentioned about the Home Rule Act, right? So the Home Rule Act allows certain cities in the United States to govern themselves with a degree of autonomy from state laws. You may be, away from state laws, but we're talking federal here. You can't duck federal laws because all these states, they're all still in the federal government. So when they started doing this, and the funny thing is that I looked at, and they said like Chicago, Philadelphia, San Francisco, New Orleans, Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore, Denver. What do they all have in common? They're all shitholes right now. Because they thought that, oh, well, we could govern ourselves. Well, who's funding it? Oh, we are. Okay. So no, you can't govern yourselves. You're not autonomous. That's the whole thing with this. And now, when you look at everything coming up this week, right? Because this is one hell of a week. So now we go 10 and 10, right? So you go 8/8, right? 8/8/2022. It was on his placard the whole entire time. He's telling us the date that the FBI was going to raid Mar-a-Lago. How he knew, I don't know. So now you go 8/8. Now you jump, boom, 10 days, right? 8/18. That's a double 17 this year. Because 8/18 is a 17. 1 plus 7 is 8. 2025 is a 9. 8 and 9 is a 17. Then you add another 10 days to that. What's happening on the 28th? Everybody missed this. Everybody's like, oh, who's going to be the big one to testify, to give the deposition? It's Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions is the massive one that's going to give his deposition. And Q told us this. Q said when people find out that Sessions was the one that started the Epstein investigation, then everything will come to light. Because we still have Huber and Horowitz. They're both working together. There's your speed 8/8, HH, right? They're working with the 470 attorneys, which is the 470th Military Intelligence Brigade. So now when they think that, oh, well, that's why Trump's like with the Epstein list, he's like, psst, it's all fake. Well, yeah, it's all fake. Because they took it in the first term. So what else is there? So whatever evidence there is there, it's all prefabricated. And who prefabricates it? Why is it all in the Southern District of New York? All goes back to the mega group, goes back to Israel, goes back to the Crown, goes back to all of them. Because the Crown they're still butthurt about it. So now when the whole 1812, war over 1812 didn't do it, because what it did was it served as a rallying point for American nationalism. That pissed them off even more. So now they thought they cut a fat hog in the ass and say, hey, you know what? In 10 years, from 1812, we're going to go ahead and write the secret Treaty of Verona, saying that we're just going to seize all the lands and everything. Problem is, there were still people in America that were alive. So now you look at that whole secret treaty. Now, with that treaty being all in there, you go back to the statues in D.C. On 8/5, they came out, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. They're like, yeah, they're going to replace Albert Pike's statue. It's like, then you're like, oh, that 10 and 10 twice. So 8/5, they're going to replace the statue, add 10 days. 8/15, 1871, the letter from Pike to Mazzini outlining all 3 world wars. That's going to be the end of it. The end of that reign. Because if they're meeting in Alaska on 8/15, Putin and Trump are, right? That's why Putin's like, Trump's like, well, how do you know he's going to get a deal? It's like, I know within 2 minutes walking in. I'm like, well, how do you know? He's like, because that's what I do. I make deals. It's like, but they don't understand. It's like Putin, Trump, Xi, they're all in on this. They're all in on this in order to break the back of the whole British colonialism, Israel, Ukraine, and all the communism that's going on. Because communism was run rampant in Brazil and the United States, but people just don't see it because they think, oh, it's democracy. Democracy is communism. It's mob rule. That's all it is. And now with Trump saying, hey, we're going to redo the census, well, good. Because now people are going to really see how many illegals there are in this country. Because back in, 2011? There were 11.5 million illegals in our country. So now what's the number up to? And especially when you mentioned about, the Masonic temple, that's why when Trump got, when he was sworn in, remember, they didn't swear in the Bible, but they had to make it rain. They had to make it so miserable out, snow, rain. Remember, it was miserable, cold, freezing. They had to move it inside because they had to get it away from the obelisk. So now when you notice that he didn't put his hand in the Bible, but Vance did, it's like, well, who do you think's going down with the ship? Same guy that says, oh, Peter Thiel's a great guy. Yeah. I mean, I've already said what I need to say about J.D. Vance. I just don't like him. I think he's there just because he's not in the middle of anything, if you notice. I mean, a vice president's like an assistant manager at Burger King. I mean, you're literally there just in case something happens to him. When, as we see, nothing's going to happen to him because he's 100% insulated. So, yeah, there's going to be some really good shit because since they didn't succeed that time, right? In the 1812, right? So they're like, well, hell, we'll try to pull it off in 1871. Because add up 1871, it's a 17. It all goes back to the whole Organic Act, the whole letter from Pike to Mazzini, because in that letter, people are like, oh, it's Zionism. World War III ends with political Zionism and Islam destroying itself. So who's left? I mean, people could say it's Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
Judaism is the antithesis to Christianity. So when they say Judeo-Christian, it's like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Ever. It makes zero sense.
People believe it, though.
Yeah.
People believe it.
No. Well, I mean, look what they just did with the whole burning of the red heifer, right? You know what the funny thing is about that? That is the definition of a Holocaust. It's burnt offering. You know who else was sent off in that same exact way? Julius Caesar. So, the C before D actually tells us the order in which they killed Caesar as well. Because there are 3 conspirators. You had Decius, Cassius, and Brutus. What were his last words? Et tu, Brute? So that means Cassius was the first, then Decius, then Brutus. And they're all three probably Jews. Because they're the ones that wanted to get rid of Julius Caesar because they wanted to bring their usury in, and that's what destroyed the whole Roman Empire. Was usury. The same shit that destroyed every empire ever since. So, but that's what I think about DC.
Oh boy, how could you even breathe? Mike, you want to give your perspective of what's going on in federalization?
Oh, after that, no. I mean, what do I say? I mean, Jason's got to. I mean, drop the mic and go home. He's dialed it in and has just. I mean, he's nailed it. But my perspective is not from the level that as deep as Jason goes. I bring it to more of a level of where I think we're headed in terms of sanctuary cities, in terms of DC. All the things that have happened on the surface just look from a 24-hour news cycle, news hit from Newsmax or anybody like that. They're talking about the 30 days that Trump has. Well, I mean that 30 days is it's not. I mean, and you heard him today in the press conference. He said that it's 30 days, but I still have the power. I mean, I want Congress to come in and do what they need to do to extend this. But he's going to do what he's going to do. And I agree with Jason and with Dylan and Anna with the aspect that I go all the way back to 2017 and the inauguration speech. And if you watch that again and again and again, and you watch it again, that speech that he did in 2017, I think has more in it than anything he said up to today, because it laid out the roadmap of what is to come. And if anybody wants validation of what is going on, or anybody that is discouraged about what is going on, all they have to do is go back to that start point of 2017, revisit the insurrection that happened, or didn't happen, but revisit all these things that we've been said or we've been told that was, conspiracy or whatever. We're undefeated when it comes to all that stuff. So, when I thought about the 2017 and then the 2020 fraud that happened, I go back and we're talking about DC right now. Think back in 2020, the flooding that was happening in DC. Remember all the water that was coming and coming. What was going on there? And you go back and you see these construction sites that happened from the White House, and you see these aerial views of things that were. I mean, there was some serious stuff going on that we weren't told about. And I think looking back, if you take a front and a backwards to this, these all things just match up, and you kind of get a bigger picture of this. This is the period at the end of the sentence that Trump has talked about. So he is now saying, look, I'm doing right now, I'm taking back because I have to. I know I'm at that dire state that nobody's going to deflate anything that's going on right now in DC, because I'm going to be in control of this. I have to be in control of this. And the only way he can is if he truly is in control of this through, the likes of Tom Holman and the military. And going back to Holman, so I'm in the suburbs of Chicago. I'm in the belly of the beast. I hope and pray every day this is the next step. Los Angeles, Chicago, Cincinnati. I mean, Dylan, you see that? I mean, I didn't think Cincinnati would be there, but any place where there's a liberal tendency that's there, and I don't want to throw politics into this because it's not about politics, but anywhere that all this infiltration has happened through NGOs and all the things that have funded all these things, we're at that precipice. All these things are coming together, and it's like that triangle. Everything's just being pushed up so hard and so fast, and it's just it's gonna be like the cake pipe. You know, they're just squeezing it in, and we're gonna see a blended picture of everything that we've witnessed over the past 5 years, 6 years, and you could even go back, like Jason's talking. You know, the piping of this has been accelerated, and I'm excited to see that. I'm just looking on here some of my notes that I was making as they were saying that. Another thing is the Brunson case. I still think that the Brunson case is still relevant. I think that is something that nobody's talking about. But again, it goes back to, you know, that piece that it's like when you're looking at the puzzle, you've always got that one piece that's odd shaped and you're sitting over there and you set it off to the side, you know it's going to fit somewhere. That's going to be a piece that you're going to place in. I don't know how that fits in. I don't know what that looks like, but I think that's still out there. And one other thing. So my governor, Governor Pritzker and Newsom, they're probably one in of the same. Pritzker's, you know, he's on this warpath with Trump, or he thinks he is, and he's doubling down on everything that he said that he will do or won't do, and in compliance with any regulation that from ICE or Homeland Security. I think a lot of that was done to just bring attention to the dumbness of who he is and what he's done. And so that when shit does come down and he is seen for what people actually can see it and say, oh yeah, I yeah, I'm a Democrat, but I agree with that. I think that's stupid in what he said and what he did. So this exposure goes so many different ways. And I don't mean to go long-winded with this, but yeah, so that's kind of where I see it as, Jim. Thank you,
Mike. It's hard not to be long-winded because it's so deep. I mean, people, like I say, there's so many layers to it, and everyone's got a great perspective on this. Ben, I'm going to leave you last.
Hey, before we move on from what Mike was saying, I have been meaning to look up some statistics, and I just had time to do so. When Trump says Washington, D.C. is like the most dangerous city in terms of violent crime, I was questioning that. And so, I just looked up homicides in Chicago versus Washington, D.C. from January 1st, 2024 till the present, which is, to me, the most recent time period. 830 homicides in Chicago in that period versus 287 in Washington, D.C. So I'm not calling Trump a liar, but it kind of stood out to me like Chicago's probably worse because this is what I always hear about. I know it's probably bad in D.C. and there may be other types of violent crime happening in D.C., but intervention is certainly needed in other cities where this is just completely out of control.
Yeah, I think this is just me. I think Trump is always decoding. I mean, he's throwing these codes out there. And if you look at Washington, D.C. was the army. They were the police of all the cabal. We started all the wars. We committed all the wars that never needed be. And I think he's referring to the Washington, D.C. swamp monsters. I really do. That's my take on it. Because if you look at the corruption of the corporation, then you look at all the things that we've learned, all these wars were all the bankers' wars. They're all the money makers, the counterfeiters. That's how they controlled all of us. And they were also human sacrifices. So I believe when he was talking about the murders, I don't think he was actually talking about the city. I think he was talking about the corporation of the United States of America in all capital letters. They were all murderers. They were all, every one of them, they were all complicit to all these wars and all the drugs. I mean, the drug cartel was run by their government. We would have never, ever had drugs in this world. If we really had a war on drugs, there'd be no drugs. But we never had a war on drugs. So that's my take on it. Ben, go ahead. Give us your perspective on the federalization. of
Yeah,
Washington?
so just like anything in this war, I feel like, you could look at it through different lenses. One of them is, everything's already been done, let's say in 2020 or sometime prior, and this is just all a movie as far as this part of like the political theater. Or you could look at it like, oh, this is like legitimate. This is actually happening now, and they're showing us it in real time. But regardless of like going back and forth and having to try to decide what's real and what's fake, which is like a cat chasing his tail or a dog chasing his tail, I guess sometimes you could just look at like the signal behind like what it represents. Just like Jason Q said, like the flagpoles that Trump erected, however long ago, a little bit ago, and just what they represent, even down to like the the height of the flagpoles above ground, 88 feet, and Trump equals 88 in gematria, and J. Kennedy equals 88 in gematria. So I think that's no coincidence. And yeah, just as far as what the message represents overall, it's just showing, I believe, that we're getting that much closer, and it's something that like the masses can all absorb and understand what's going on like in real time, instead of it being something that is like controversial that people are like arguing over. It's like, oh no, this is legit, this is happening now, like this is a change, like what's going to happen next. So I believe like as the war goes on, like there's different parts of the operation for all stages of awakening. And I believe it's just like such a masterful plan that where somehow they were able to accomplish that and are currently accomplishing it. So I would just say, just as far as like the signal that it represents, it's just us reconstituting our republic, and or in the middle of it at least. And I part of the reason that I started making threads is because I would just see so many like um so many people that just lost hope, and like saying that like we're living in chaos and like all this stuff, and like even after Trump came back in, well, publicly at least. And that's what made me just all of a sudden just, I want to put stuff down in all like one long form thing, and just, we'll start a conversation from there. But yeah, that's pretty much my view on it.
Thanks, Ben. And I'd like to follow this up. You and I were talking about a video that you did with Rob Cunningham, and I think it would be a good time to show that. Dylan, is there a way that Ben could get screen share and you can share that, Ben?
Yeah, just request a screen share. We can make sure you share it with audio if it's a video.
Yeah, let me do that right now. I got that. Oh, only hosts can share in this meeting. I think there's might be like a box you have to click or something, if I remember right. 'Cause I click share. It says only hosts can share in this meeting. I think there's like some option, but I could send you the video if not, Cranker.
Dylan, can you give him screen share?
Um, Usually it pops up for me and then I say like approve. Does anyone else know how that works?
Because I remember whenever I would go on Patriot Underground, and when we would be on Zoom, I would try to share, and then he'd be like, "Oh, let me okay it for you," and then he'll go and do something, and then it'll allow me to. But
Here.
I could.
Oh, wait, then you're the host. Usually it just pops up a little
Yeah,
thing.
I think it's in the settings, Dylan. I think I had to do that. If you go to the three dots, no, it doesn't show it there. Um,
It's a great video, and I think it's real
Okay,
important.
here I got it.
Got it.
Great,
Okay,
great,
awesome. Let me
perfect.
get this going real quick. Start broadcast. All right, you guys can see my screen?
yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Storm.
Turn this all the way up.
Storm, Mr. President? What storm are you talking about? Well, how about this? We should have a level playing field. Wealth matters to everybody. Stop stealing from people. These people are sick, what they're doing to the least and the lost among us. And we caught them all. We can't have a nation if we can't self-determine who's going to be who's going to lead us. Right? We need to pick our own leaders and then eat our own dog food after we've done it. But we don't want to be able to think we picked a leader and then somebody else gets put in their place. So the basic three things. What storm, Mr. President? The Great Awakening is the storm. The Great Awakening is when we all figure out, wait a minute. They've been lying to us about money. They've been stealing our kids, and they've been putting in their own cronies to tell us what to do. How the hell is that freedom? How's that a life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness if they're going to do this? And there's a guy that came down and said, you know what? How about we cut this nonsense out? What do you think about that? Oh, Orange Man bad.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the context of why would he leave a life as a multi-billionaire with properties all over the world, success and fame and family and fortune and everything that he's got, and put himself in front of these incessant attacks if he wasn't doing it for a reason other than money? Maybe it was truth and honor and legacy.
Yeah, so that video was of our friend Rob Cunningham, me and Qranker's friend, and he's an absolute just machine, amazing beast of a patriot. And yeah, I recommend you guys follow him. I think it's at Rob Cunningham on Twitter. But yeah, he has taught me so much in the past few months since I came across him. And yeah, that video, he created the image of where it had the three different executive orders, and he put that on a Twitter post. And then I heard him talking on a podcast, and so I had to screen record it, and yeah, I just turned that into a video like that. But I believe it's nice to have all those there because it covers all three like major aspects of this war, this storm, and just everything we're experiencing now. So.
Thanks for sharing that, Ben. Yeah, it's important to for everyone to understand. There's so many people in this movement. We'll find out who they really are. But there's been people certainly placed in my eyes that are incredibly knowledgeable, and they're out there teaching us, and then we're teaching others. And Rob is a great teacher, and like we've talked in the past, Rob is silky smooth. I mean, his delivery is silky smooth. He's incredibly knowledgeable, and we've been honored to have him on the Qranker's Pit a couple times, and hopefully we'll have him a few more times. So I just thought it was important to show that file, because Washington, D.C. is the armpit. I mean, it really is. And Dylan was talking about the NGOs, and so was Mike, is all these NGOs, we're going to find out all these people that have been taking our money, and they're saying government money. Well, government is our money. And they were using it, and a lot of these, they make it look good, like they're doing good, but these senators, these House of Representatives, all these lobbyists, they all hide it. They make it look really good, but they don't show you the true amount of money that was going into this NGO. So, some people have benefited from it, but who really benefited from it? Because the money is never really shown. And I believe in my heart, that this plan has been going on before I was even brought to this earth. I think it was well before Kennedy was even in office. I think it goes way back, and they just never had a real good stranglehold on the cabal until the corporation started the internet. And I think the internet has brought this stranglehold on the cabal. I think they thought they were going to use it on us, when in reality it's backfiring. It's going on them, because you look at, the relationship that we have with Anna in Brazil, and the relationship that we have with Charlie Ward, and we got relationships in Australia, in New Zealand, the UK, Canada, Mexico, all over the world. The patriots all over the world are now coming together. And that's where we go on, we go all. And they can't stop what's coming. Nothing can stop what's coming. And now all this truth is coming out, and there are going to be people that won't be able to walk down the road. They won't be able to walk down the street. They won't be able to go in public, because they're going to be so ashamed of what they've done. And this exposure that's coming is going to be massive. And if we're not prepared and grounded for it, there's going to be people in your neighborhood. There's going to be people, and maybe possibly in your family. There's going to be possible friends that have been taking funds from government NGOs and private secret societies. I mean, think about how many people we know that are attorneys. They took an oath to the Bar Association. How many attorneys you know that are broke? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
This is bigger than anyone can even imagine when you really sit back and pause and look at the whole picture of this. The whole empire is crumbling down. It's all coming down.
Hey, Qranker, I agree 100% on that point. The flip side of that, what came out today is, we officially hit $37 trillion in debt, and people are like that. I mean, that isn't, to our brain, we can't really comprehend that. The amount of money, I don't know what quantitative evidence I would have to say what that dollar amount would be. A lot of that money, a percentage of that money, is coming back to DC. It's coming back to politicians, whether it's funneled through Ukraine, whether it's funneled through Israel, whether it's funneled through whatever it is. They've done such a great job in the last, to your point, I don't know how long it's gone on, but in order for them to take control over everything and to fund it and to manipulate us and to do all the things that they've done, it's taken money, and literally taking money. They take money from us to do that, but it's irrelevant to them. It's that printing process that they've done. Once the financial, and I kind of believe with what Rob has said, and he said a couple weeks ago on our podcast, that once we get control over the finances and over the system, blockchain, how all that's where it can't be, where it is decentralized, and it's not going to be, controlled by anybody. That in itself just rids everything that's out there. And I think that's a very important point to make in terms of, as we move forward with everything and the speed at which we're going. That's a hidden gem that's over to the side here. That is something, when the monetary system flips over and it truly is guarded by blockchain and smart contracts and all the things that go with that. You can't do what they're doing right now. It'll just go away. There's no way you can hide it.
Great point, Mike. I mean, that's where XRP, XLM, all the stable coins come in play, because it takes out the Federal Reserve, because the Federal Reserve runs there. That's the head of the octopus. That's the head of the whole octopus of the tentacles of the cabal, is the Federal Reserve. So once we take the Federal Reserve, and it looks like it's already done, it's just a matter of cleaning up the mess, what's going on. So your point is so well taken. Does anyone else want to comment on that? Jason?
Trying to think about the financial shit. Now I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass on this one.
Well, we got Protocol 23 coming tomorrow. And that's a big deal. And you see that a lot of these other countries are starting to reevaluate their money. And once we get to a 1-to-1 ratio all around the world, that's going to be the level playing field that Trump has been talking about over and over. Jason, I see something came to you.
Yeah, I just thought of it. So it all goes back to the gold, right? Trump has all the gold. He has all the hard assets. That's it. He's the hog with the big nuts. That's why everybody's coming to him. And now everybody's like, oh, like the Armenian Azerbaijan. They've been fighting for 30 something years. They're now in front of everyone, they're shaking hands. Oh, they need to, nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, when people find out about Alfred Nobel, what he created, dynamite, not so peaceful, was he? No. So now all they're doing is they're waiting to this. They're gonna when they go into the not the Federal Reserve, but Fort Knox, right? When they go ahead and revalue all the gold. Well, you're not going to bring all this gold to a system that's not revalued, right? The 640,000 metric tons, right? Trump's keeping that for safekeeping. That's the sovereign wealth fund right there for everyone. Because if we fucked up the world, we're going to fix it. And that's it.
Jason,
So,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
go ahead.
would you repeat again how much the gold? 3.7?
No, 640,000 metric tons.
Oh.
That's what he got from the Tolano gold certificate. That's why he met Xi in Forbidden City.
Mm-hmm,
But it's not signed to him. It's signed to Melania.
Yeah.
She's the one that's all about this. She's the one that, because she speaks, 5, 6 different languages, fluent Russian, Slovenian. I mean, it's just, man. And you mentioned that there was 30 days given, right? To, what was it? Trump just gave somebody 30 days.
The Senate, Congress.
Congress, right? Yeah. Yeah. You mind if we dig into a drop real quick? Because I think we figured something out. So it goes along lines with the 13 days, right? So we've got this. 1933. August 26th, 2018. Odd, right? Funny day. Suicide weekend, hands up. 30, 28, impossible coincidence. We are in control. Big week ahead, right? So here's the thing, right? So I was writing this out while I was sitting here. So post 1933, 8/26/2018, suicide weekend, hands up, right? So 8/26, if you subtract 13 days, you get today, right? So if you go from 8/13/2025, if you add 30 days, it's 9/12, 31 days in August, guys. Then it says 28, like a minute, right? But what are those are days? It's all timing, right? Then you go from 9/12, you subtract 2 days. It's 9/10, right? So 8/26, we use the 3.0 that he's given us. Everything's threes, power threes, right? That's 8/29, 8/30. Friday and Saturday, a suicide weekend. Why would that be suicide weekend? Well, who testifies on the 28th? Jeffrey Sessions. Now, when you go to 8/29, you add 13 days, you get 9/10. The next day is Liberation Day. And plus, remember, Trump is meeting, quote unquote, King Charles in September in England to finalize the complete switchover. So,
Great stuff.
Then there's one more thing. This ballroom that he's building, right? Guys,
Yeah.
everything's done twice, right?
Right.
The first one he did, remember, he moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, right? And he built it on time, under budget, right? So we come to the ballroom. He said, they're like, oh, foreign donors. He's like, there might be one donor, me, right? All he's doing is he's proving 2 Chronicles, the end of the Bible, correct. Everything's being done twice. If you had to construct 2 temples, what's the other temple? It's a ballroom. It's all allegorical. That's all it is. So now, just because he's saying, hey, I'm building a ballroom, because everything he built is always on time and always under budget. Everything. So, I mean, it makes all the sense, right? I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. Because it's right in the plus. If you take 8/15 and you add 13 days, you get the same day that Jeff Sessions is testifying. Because Sessions is the big one in all this. They told us in all the drops, all the Epstein drops. They even said early on, they're like, look, I'll even find it. Because let's see. One second, guys.
Jason, do you have any
Yeah.
decode for why Trump was on the roof of the White House?
Shit, who knows? But didn't he say that he was putting up like something nuclear? He's like, oh, we could just put some
Yeah, he
nuclear
said he
weapons up.
was putting some nuclear rocket launchers up there. I
Yeah.
think that was probably a joke, but hey, you never know.
Shit.
They should have at least like lasers on top of the White House. Tactical anti-aircraft lasers.
Yeah.
Ben, you had your hand raised. What? While he's looking for that, did you have a question?
Oh, I didn't have my hand raised. Oh, I did an applause for
Yeah.
Jason Q. Sorry.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
We got to get all these things down. All right. It's like, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
No worries. I
Ben,
appreciate it.
Jason, may I ask something to Ben? Or
Shoot, go for it, Anna.
okay, Ben, when you are writing on your threads, how do you create? Where does it? How do you start? How do you create all the messages you are posting?
Well, at first it just started with just seeing random Twitter posts that I would be inspired by other like Twitter profiles, and one of them was called the 589 Bull. And he hasn't been posting much recently, but he was just doing some just epic. They weren't threads, but they were like longer posts on implementing basically XRP and how it's being used as a weapon in this war to defeat the debt slavery note and the Federal Reserve overall, and not just XRP but all ISO coins in general. But that's what started getting me really like inspired to just like, you know what, I'm gonna start making my own uh, posts. So I started doing them mostly about XRP, and then eventually I was just like, well, I've been I've been researching the last few years, and I've been a part, or I've had the privilege of being a part of the negative 48 community, and like since like 2021. So we went down some pretty deep rabbit holes in there. So I just started posting some of the aspects of just the war itself, just beyond like XRP, and just started off as like smaller threads, and then eventually I just sometimes I would feel like I would have writer's block, so I'd just be thinking all day, like, what's my thread for tomorrow going to be? And then finally, when I get home, get off work, put the kids to bed, and like the little chill time that I do have, I just like it would just come to me like the perfect like concept or something. And on like every night that I've thought like, oh, this, I don't have anything. What am I going to do? It always came to me like whenever I just sit down, chill, and kind of like not meditate, but just relax and really just have time to think. And these concepts would just start coming to me. And then so I just start writing them in, and then before I know it, I'm in bed under the covers, breathing, barely being able to breathe because I don't want my cell phone light to wake my baby. Trying to finish the thread just so I can get it in the morning, because I know in the morning it's on and popping with the kids, so I I won't have time to do it then. But yeah, that's basically what got me into doing them the way that I do them. So
It's like writing a song.
yeah,
Yeah.
actually, yeah. When I was younger, I used to dabble in writing music too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Jason, you got something?
Oh, I got a couple of things. I'm just trying to find the one that I was actually looking for.
So baby, baby, my God, I was thinking about Ben's baby, but this is as Mike said, it is like a music. It comes to you. It's like a download, the same as Jason does. It's a download. Qranker always mentioned the downloads he has always, and I received those. Well, I don't receive. I don't know if it's a down or it comes from my heart. It's more like from the heart. It's not down on me. It's come from inside of me, like a wave. And I do the same when I'm writing, and I there are people who screenshot what I write on my Telegram channel, and when they send it back to me, I said, "My God, was I able to write like this?" My God, I love my that part of Anna that was writing this. So all this that we have been doing, the decoding and checking the movie, because it is a movie and Trump is the main character of this movie, and we have to follow him and to connect because he's there to make this, to make us, to provoke, to push us to do this and to dig for ourselves, for our lives. And I have been growing so much. And when Mike mentions about the 37, the debt, the 37 million, right? Am I correct, Michael? Mike?
No, it's 37 trillion. I mean,
Yeah,
it's unheard of.
37
Yeah.
trillion. Yeah, we have to restart learning. We have to unlearn and relearn and learn correctly, because when they place those numbers in front of us, they're not talking about the trillions of debt, because it's all fake. Okay, they are talking, it's all fake unless you are completely into the 3D matrix or 1D, 2D, I don't know which matrix they are. 37, when you do 37 on gematrix.org, you come to Christ's bloodline. So what is coming back to us? What is happening here? The debt is the Christ bloodline. Christ, the Christ in you. And we have to, well, we don't have to do anything. Nobody has to do anything. But what I have been learning, me, myself, during this journey, with the help of Jason and Ben and Qranker and Dylan and Mike, and many others, is to learn to read. To I'm learning to read again. So the numbers are there for us just to go check the number, because this, you already know it's a movie. It's all fake. We are now telling you the truth. Check the numbers. And you have 37, it's 777. You have the jackpot. They're telling us you have the jackpot. It's coming back to all this money that were spread all over the world. In fact, belongs to you, the people, to me, to you, not to me, but for you guys, you, the American born in USA. And I do the same here in Brazil. We have to kill that version from ourselves and upgrade. The upgrade comes from the heart. I don't know if I'm rumbling, I know, and I have this. It's easy for me to do this dance, and I was curious about Ben, and because I know Jason. Jason's very much like me. I start seeing the numbers. I'm doing the laundry. I'm doing the dishes, and it all comes like this, right, Jason? You, we can help it.
You can't stop it. It just
Yeah. Yes. You just see it. And that's the great awakening. This is the great awakening. This is not learning. I cannot teach you to do that. You have to practice and practice and love. When we are on the 33rd week of the year, 33rd, 33, and Trump is doing the federalization of DC on the 33rd week of the year, 2025. 33 comes to love. Love equals 33 in gematria. guys, it's time to love the real love, right?
Well, I think Anna, you make such a beautiful point, because I think all of us on this call at some point we've talked about it. I know Qranker and I talked about it. It always comes back to the humanitarian side of things, because outside of greed, money is going to take this and say, "Hey, I can't wait. I'm going to, whatever XRP, XL, whatever anything happens, money can't be that." So what has to fill that vacuum is that humanitarian side of things, because when we look at the globe and we see the earth as a people, as opposed to our state or our country specifically, that's the alliance that's happening right now. The alliance that's out there right now fighting for us. When you talk with or talk about President Trump, and you talk about Xi Jinping, and you talk about Putin, those three guys, if they come to power, the EU, Europe, it's irrelevant. There won't be any more wars at all. And I think once people start to really bake into that, then they'll realize that, because we've just been such a slave to money. We've been a slave to it our whole life. That's all we know. I'm just as guilty. I'm pointing the fingers back at me as well. I mean, that is where we are today as a culture. That we could be so distracted by that we lose sight of the humanitarian side of things, that as this happens, and I'm talking the humanitarian side of things as to discipling to people that don't know what we know. And I say that from a guy that I'm just your normal Joe. I don't know what Jason knows, and I don't know what Dylan knows. I don't know what Ben knows, or Qranker. And Anna, I don't have that knowledge. I've been awakened, and I'm ready to see and to be and place my role in this party that's going to happen. And so that's what I'm excited about, is that moving forward of that, where we can just become that light and love and hug people as they come into this, because the whole woke thing and everything else is going to just go away, because that was all part of the mind game that was played on us. So that's just my 50 seconds of encouragement, that I think what Anna had said just brought to my head, my spirit, that is exactly where we all need to be.
And I need to quote Paul when he was writing the letters for the Corinthians, and he mentions that if I know everything, and I always quote that to Qranker, if I know everything, and if I don't know how to love or to love, because it's a verb, to love, it I'm just dust in the wind. Of course, he does a much better work than I'm doing with the words. We are not just dust in the wind, okay? We have purpose here. And if you don't know anything, you're not a normal Joe. There's no normal Joes here, okay? No, none. If you don't know what I know, if you don't know what Jason knows, if you don't put the words as Ben's do, don't don't matter. It doesn't matter. If you are able to love, that's what you're doing here. That's what you're doing here. Because, okay, we are offering what we already know. Okay, so take it. If it's gold for you, keep it, treasure it, and use it as beautifully, as graciously as you can. That's to keep the message going, and that's the work. We need to make it work, to make it to reach people to this. You don't need to know everything. No one will never know everything. If you know, you'll be taken out immediately. You'll be taken out because you would be complete. So, yeah, I always remind myself about Paul, this letter, because it always moved me, and now I understand that I don't pressure myself to study as much, to listen as much as I used to do in the beginning. So if you're studying or if you're joining, okay, do it, but don't pressure yourself. Don't waste your energy on that. We need to, we need you. We need you as you are.
Thank you.
Don't go changing.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. One thing that's come out, and we're switching gears a little bit, is the debt clock. And the debt clock came out with another message today. And if you're paying attention to the debt clock, you can see that the abundance is coming back to us with all the executive orders that Trump signed back before 2020, knowing what they were going to do, because he knew what they were going to do, the dividend dollar. And what Ben was talking about earlier about XRP, XLM, XDC, all the ICO stable coins, that's taken out the Federal Reserve. And the debt that we keep talking about, we were never, ever, 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 I can put gazillion evers on there, we were never going to get out of debt because it's a Federal Reserve note. It's debt. It's not money. It's not currency. And we were never going to get out of debt. That's why they kept us enslaved. That's why they kept taxing us, because they used that debt clock as a tool to fool us that we were always going to be in debt. How are we going to pay the debt off? Well, you can't pay debt off when you don't have anything to pay it off. It's just toilet paper. And that's all we've been paying, we've been living off is toilet paper. And if you look at the debt clock, the fiat dollar that we have right now is less than 4 cents on a dollar. So realistically, when you start looking at the numbers, XRP's this, XLM's this, no, it's not. That's all based off fiat dollars. So people need to really study that debt clock, because they are teaching us on the debt clock what's coming, and nothing can stop what's coming. And Executive Order 11110, signed by JFK back in 1963, that's come into play. And that is the gold and the silver, as Jason's saying. Whoever holds the gold, whoever holds the silver, has all control. Trump has all control. And this is what he's doing right now. Bonfire Guy on YouTube. I encourage you all to look him up. He has a tremendous amount of information on YouTube regarding the 1-to-1 ratio, an equal playing field for all. That means every country is going to have an equal monetary system to every other country in the world. So the Vietnam dong, the Iraqi dinar, the real in Brazil is all going to be 1-to-1 with the dollar. And when this all reevaluates, that's when we're going to get the true valuation of all of our stable coins and all of our silver, our gold, our copper. So all this stuff has not happened yet. So all people that are throwing numbers out there, I challenge you. You can't put a dollar amount on anything until we know what the true value is of our precious metals. And until that happens,
let me ask you this, Crank.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I agree 100%. My question to that is, you just blew my mind, because I've always, I've got my lobster wallet or what, and you see all the, so, and I'm just asking this stupidly, but so what you're saying is that anything that we have, whether it's in a crypto wallet of either lobster or whatever, anything that's there is not really what we see it is. It's basically still set off of the SWIFT system, the fiat dollar. So as we view it in USD, viewability, is that correct? Is that so? We still don't even know as we see whatever the numbers are.
Well, let me ask you this: what are you buying? What are you using to buy those stable coins right now?
I used XLM to buy like SHX.
How did you buy XLM?
Through USD, just from cash from a bank account.
We're
a banking.
using fiat. We're using
I
money.
used fiat money. Yep.
Yeah. So we don't have real money yet. So we don't have real values yet. Those are
So
all.
is that it's so what is false? The fiat system. I mean, so if I gave them false money, how? I mean, what's that on the back end? What's that look like? We
No,
don't.
what I'm saying is this, is that the dollar is just less than 4 cents on a dollar right now. The debt clock tells us that. Okay. So if you look at the numbers on the crypto, it's got to be the same because we don't have real money yet. It hasn't flipped. So that's not an actual value that you're seeing on the crypto.
Okay.
It's still fiat. It's still based off fiat. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. No, I get it. You blew my mind. So, thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on here. Jason,
Cranker,
you had something you
I'm
want to
sorry
bring
to
up.
Cranker, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think Ben wants to talk. He raised his hand
Oh, okay.
about
Go
the
ahead, Ben.
XRP.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just wanted to touch on something that I've learned from Rob that really opened my eyes to like the financial situation and real money versus fake money, and just looking at it at like a 40,000 foot view. These Satanists have weaponized every single aspect of our lives, whether it's our money, whether it's our deodorant, our toothpaste, our shampoo, anything that touches or goes in our body or around our body, everything, absolutely everything. So one of like the coldest things that they did to us was weaponize the medium of exchange by implementing this unconstitutional Federal Reserve Bank. And I don't know the numbers, but I would assume that like majority of like people around the world don't really understand the consequences that we suffered because of the Federal Reserve Bank in 1913. And something that Rob taught us is that Trump, or President Trump, I should say, his mission ever since becoming ever since he came down the escalator was to slay that beast of a Federal Reserve System. And I do have a couple minute video that I created of Rob talking that the moment I heard him say this, like just my mind just like exploded and it opened up to like the whole operation of how cryptocurrency in general kind of goes into to this whole war. Do you mind if I play it really quick?
No, I appreciate it. Nana, thank you for, I'm sorry I didn't see your hand, Ben.
Oh, no worries at all. No worries at all. So here it is.
When President Trump came down the escalator in 2015 with Melania, if you take a note before he even started to go down the escalator, right above his head was a little sign in Trump Towers that said currency exchange. That wasn't an accident. That was a calm. President Trump came down the escalator to take the head off of central banking, like David came off the fields to put a sword in Goliath's chest and take his head off. The central banking Federal Reserve banking cartel that G. Edward Griffin wrote about in The Creature from Jekyll Island has been the root of all of our ills. It's been the root of the military industrial complex and the media industrial complex and the medical industrial complex and Hollywood and the swamp, academia industrial complex. I mean, all of it, the root of all evil has been those that have had the concentrated power to control the world. And for 80 years, we've lived under this world reserve currency and the mandates of the Federal Reserve that's not federal, that are no reserves, and that has no accountability whatsoever to a single living human being inside the United States of America. So the only way we get our republic back is to cut those strings between the overlords of the Federal Reserve dictating every aspect of life in America. That's why President Trump came down the escalator. He was recruited to lead this effort. And that's why they have hated that man and hated his supporters for 9 consecutive years since he came down the escalator, because he's going to take away their power source. And the way he's going to do it is through DLT and XRP Ledger and XDC and XLM and all the other, the algos and the H bars. And we're going to be distributing power back to we the people. As he said in his inauguration speech in 2017, this isn't just about taking power from one administration to another or one party to another, but transferring power from Washington, D.C. back to we the people. The only way you do that is make us be our own bankers instead of us being serfs to central bankers. So what we are about to see, this is the essence of the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. It's all this hoarded, all of this grotesquely stolen and misused and misaggregated resources of power and psychology and media and land and resources that have been raped from every person the world over and put in the hands of a minute few number of operators. That's going to get unlocked, and it's going to flow back to we the people. And there is nothing that can stop it. Nothing. And not only can they not stop it, the chief engineer leading this movement is about to be sworn into office in 18 days. So, yeah, I think the minimum is the SEC is going to go away, and the new SEC chairman is going to walk perfectly in line with the commander-in-chief.
So yeah, I believe that that what he just said really can open people's minds to um, the the whole thing about crypto is like it's conflated. People think crypto equals Bitcoin for the most part. I used to think that, and I used to say, "Oh, crypto's a scam." Not not even really understanding what crypto is, other than like another form of money. But um, Rob really opened my eyes to a whole new aspect of this war and of part of President Trump's mission, not only to slay the Federal Reserve, but he's also slaying the beast itself, throughout, and all of its tentacles throughout the world. So I know a lot of people are like against crypto, and that's fine, but I would say at least be open-minded to at least do some digging into utility tokens. And uh, I do believe that we are going to see the greatest transfer of wealth in human history, and I believe those holding the infrastructure to our new financial system is going to benefit the most from it. And I believe crypto is going to be such a big thing where everyone's going to be getting in on it. It just depends on how soon are you gonna learn about it, because everything that President Trump has done since he became president again, publicly at least, has just like w- went perfectly in line with this mission of implementing this new financial system. So I just wanted to add that and show the people that. Thank you.
Perfect, Ben. That was very, very well. It's great. I remember the first time I saw that video, it was like, wow, that's right to the point. So I thank you for sharing that. And again,
Before we move on from cryptocurrency, I
yeah,
think, since we're on this panel, it would be remiss to not mention some of the major developments with XRP over the past 2 weeks, including the ending of the lawsuit with the SEC last week, which is absolutely huge. Now, we haven't seen the huge price action yet, but it's essentially cleared for launch. And that's not the only news as well. Even just this week, I have a screen share here that there was this presidential action or executive order about democratizing access to alternative assets for 401k investors, which, when you come down to the details here, includes Section 3, democratizing access to alternative assets, and it names all these different types of alternative assets, including number 3, digital assets. So that's saying to legalize having essentially cryptocurrency. Not obviously doesn't say. Trump is very seldom saying XRP, and I think for a reason. He's like keeping it kind of on the DL. But this is talking about Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum. One of the news from the past week that has me a little bit confused is a lot of news talking about Trump's whole. There was a screen cap of like World Liberty Financial's crypto portfolio, which included like Ethereum being their biggest holding, which I found that a little bit strange. But we were seeing price action on Ethereum, so maybe some of these people have insider knowledge. There's also been stories about BlackRock buying a lot of Ethereum just recently, which isn't XRP, so I'm not quite as excited, but this is indicating the kicking off of altcoin season, as they call it. When Bitcoin's done with its big bull run, altcoin season begins, and maybe even it's like Ethereum season first, and then followed by these other cryptos, which may eventually replace Ethereum and Bitcoin as the number one or two positions. And one other thing that I want to mention, not to give financial advice or like insider information, because I don't have insider information, but me and Qranker have been talking a lot about the token Stronghold, which is currently accessible mainly by the XLM ledger and exchanges or wallets like Lobster. But I just want to pull up this chart here because it's one of the most exciting charts, at least in the coins that we talk about, in all the charts that we've seen from the coins that we like to talk about here. This has gone up 107% just in the past month. And I mean, I wanted to actually buy more of this before this big run started, but unfortunately I didn't. But even what I have put in has it's gone up even more than this in my own portfolio. I guess I was invested long before. It's even gone up probably even more. And let's see the 3-month time span. So there you go, almost 200%. That's what my portfolio has done. And so, yeah, it's just like you never know exactly which one's going to go up the most, but that one's looking very strong. And Qranker, you sent me a video today all about Stronghold, and it's looking a lot like Stronghold may be listed soon on major exchanges. And from my entire experience in crypto since 2021, that is typically the best time to get in on coins is right before they get listed on major exchanges. There's usually a really big pump. So just want
Dylan, real quick on that, I talked to my son today 3 weeks ago. I got him in because Qranker gave me the insight to the Stronghold. When the CEO, she had a video that just came out. When you tie that with what they're going to be doing with smart contracts and real estate, it's phenomenal. I mean, SHX is ACH in real estate with smart contracts. Those are the two platforms outside. I mean, it's 0.02 cents right now. So I look back when I bought XLM at 8 cents back then. It's like, I wish I would have, and now it's at 40. I guarantee you're exactly right. I did not mean to cut you off, Dylan, but I'm excited when you say that because I told my son that there was 3 of my other 2 boys are sitting at the table. One of us in the next 10 years will be millionaires based off of what we're talking about now, because they're all in this with me. So it's kind of funny you said that.
Yeah, I mean, we're expecting a super high return on all these coins, especially XRP. But it is exciting when we see, a 200% return within 3 months on one of these ones that has been one of the ones that we're really keeping our eye on. And, not to discount, after some of your guys' experience with QSI, a lot of those assets on the Lobster wallet may be questionable, but not to discount the more mainstream sub-tokens on the XLM blockchain like Stronghold. I also hold Mobius and Afram and some other ones, but Stronghold seems to be the strongest contender right now. And if it is about to get listed on exchanges, I think people in this audience might be interested to know that it might. I mean, it's not typically a good time to get in when it's just gone up 200% in the past 3 months, but it's not even at its own all-time high yet. And if it's about to be listed on exchanges, it could definitely hit a brand new all-time high much higher. And so, it's unfortunate that once we have the news, it's almost too late in crypto, but there may be still a lot of runway left for this one, for Stronghold, SHX.
Thanks for bringing that up, Dylan. We talked about that before we got on here, but no, it's great to share good information, but you have to look at the amount of asset holders. I mean, everyone on this panel and many that are listening to this podcast, we're blessed to come into this crypto at a very, very, very early stage. The rest of the world hasn't even known about it yet. So to be able to buy some of these coins and get into some of these stable coins and with SHX at the price that it is, it's truly a blessing. And I just want
Just to give some numbers on that, Cranker, I don't know if everyone could see on the page that I shared, but Stronghold is number 11,537 on the CoinStat. That's ranked by market cap. So I mean that's pretty far down the list in terms of potential to skyrocket or go viral or rise up that list. Things go up the list so fast. If we had known about Pepe Coin in the beginning, we would all be millionaires already. But this one seems to have a lot more utility than a lot of those other ones that are that far down on the list, and it's just a lot of potential. So it's exciting.
And that's what she talked about in her video that she did was she talked about the utility of this. I mean, that's what it's going to be, a useful tool it's going to be a tool in the toolbox from a financial standpoint. So yeah, I agree.
Great stuff. Yeah, this is good stuff here. And the other thing I want to bring up too is that when everyone gets their reparations back, their tax money back, they get their birth certificate money back, they get all the things that have been taken from us back. People are going to be buying homes, and guess where the money's going to flow through? Stronghold. So I mean, it's all being built right before our eyes if you're paying attention and you're watching this. So let's move forward. Jason, you had something you were looking for. Do you still want to share that?
Oh yeah. So I got this post 1470. When info is released, RR no more. Right? When info is released, no more Russian investigation. It will factually conclude the corrupt nature by which the entire false narrative was created, all to 1, prevent the election of POTUS, 2, delay shelter, mask, and hide all illegal activities by Hussein and others during the past 8 years. DOJ, FBI, cleanse vital primary. Keep coming. These people hate America. Right now, they're cleaned out, the DOJ and the FBI. The FBI has already been cleaned. They've already gotten everybody out. But when the info is released, no more Russia investigation. Why? Because the Epstein investigation, it wraps everybody up. It's a massive RICO case. Because you have to ask yourself, why are they putting Epstein before the whole, CrowdStrike, before the whole, Russiagate? Because it's all tied in together. And also there was let me see. Oh shit. Ah, damn it. Then we have this one. AG Sessions US Cyber Task Force, important, right? Well, remember, Sessions left. Remember? And then that's when Whitaker took over. Well, when he left, where did he go? He went to the military. Remember, it says Sessions and it has law next to it. Well, what is law? Law are attorneys, right? The 470 attorneys. Sessions was a captain in the Army. And now he was an AG. So he could prosecute all these cases. Because you have to think, why was he crying? I mean, he was in tears when he gave up the reins. Because he knew some of what he had to go watch and deal with. And that's just, that's shitty beyond, anything. And also, notice how, everything's like 21, right? And, Trump doubled down. It's like, what game do you double down in, guys? Blackjack, right? Well, who's the horse that towed JFK's casket in Arlington? It's Blackjack. Cute, right? Just one after another. Also, the meeting in Alaska, how big that is, right? Because remember, Trump's like, oh, I'm buying Greenland and, we're going to take care of it. We're going to take Canada. but it doesn't shut off all the shipping lanes. Russia and America, right? Because this goes way back to the Russian American company. That's why we have to get rid of our flag as well. Because all it says is that we're 50 stars, in the Canton Union, but then the stripes, it's all the Dutch East and Dutch West India Company. That's the corporation we're all under. These corporations never went away. They're still alive and well. They're just like really deep down in the shadows. So now when Trump and Putin are meeting in Alaska, well, why would you have a meeting in Alaska? Right? And Trump's like, oh, yeah, because remember, Zelensky's not going to be a part of it. So they're tying everything up. Because who else is probably going to go? Because it's probably not just going to be those two. There's going to be somebody else. Or is Putin the one that does all the dealings over there, and then Trump, because then you already have Xi that took care of all the damn near all the communists in the CCP, but it's all based off Israel and Ukraine. And then also it goes right back to the UK. It's like there's so many like moving parts in this, but we have to keep our eye. We know the Jews are they've ruined everything. They're the destroyers. They're the ones that instilled communism. That's why we're living in this world we're living in now. They're the ones who created usury. They're the ones who created the whole Federal Reserve. They're the ones who created everything. Usury, fake coinage, because FDR was a massive Jew as well. So was Churchill. So was Stalin. So was Lenin. So
All
was
fake
Hitler, though.
names. All fake names.
Yeah, especially Stalin's. Stalin's. Because Stalin's a bastard child of a Rothschild as well. So is Churchill. Churchill's actually second cousins with Stalin. So if you're talking bloodlines, yeah. So what was World War II about? If they're all bankers' wars, well, who's put out all the wars? Everybody that's tied to a Rothschild. Clinton was getting into some shit too, right? Remember, he's a Rockefeller. Hillary's a Rothschild. So, I mean, there's just so much. And also when Anna was talking about love, it's like it's a 3.0. Love, compassion, and empathy. You have to have those three. And you know what you learn those from? Pets. Isn't that funny? That everybody that's grown up with a pet all their life and everything, they have compassion, love, empathy towards any living being.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, and plus it teaches a kid responsibility, gives him his first best friend. I mean, that's just what, every kid deserves a dog or a cat that, if you need some, I got some. Just thought I'd let you know.
Just a bit of if I can contribute on anything about Alaska and Russia and United States. I remember reading a long time ago how President Lincoln was very he had on and off all the not on and off. He always exchanged communication to the Emperor of Russia, and they were very good friends. So much so that he once said, "Whatever the Emperor says, we will do it." Like he never debated. So that's the relationship between United States and Russia. They were never enemies in the first place. They were family allies. So that's what something that I want to add to this Russia and United States tomorrow.
Thanks, Anna. That's good stuff. That's really good stuff.
And also one more thing about that. That's why they hate Russia, because Russia saved our ass in the Civil War. Because they were going to
Yes.
bring all the Rothschilds banking over, and Russia actually put up a blockade to stop it. That's why they've been hell bent on Russia. That's why they did the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. They overthrew the Tsar, and then they instilled communism, and it just gets messy from there.
Yep. Excellent. We're coming up on a 2-hour mark, you guys. So there's a few things I want to do before we leave. Ben, I would love for you to read your post regarding the movie and the war, and we'll have a brief discussion about that. Then we'll end the podcast in prayer. Can you do that for us, Ben? Are you there, Ben?
Sorry about that. Sorry, I was trying to pull up the movie and I didn't unmute yet. But so I have a few about like the movie. I have the first one is you are watching a movie, and then the second one is the art of the movie, and then the other one is the movie is fake but the war is real. I think that's one of the ones that Mary read.
Yeah, let's do that one.
That one. Okay. So this one I posted on August 2nd, and the title is "The movie is fake but the war is real." How do you dismantle a centuries old system of control without mass hysteria, without civil war, without losing the very people you're trying to save? Answer: you do it through covert, strategic, and layered military operations. Let's take it further. What if this isn't just America's battle? What if this is a coordinated global takedown of a centuries old cabal, an alliance of 200 plus nations quietly working behind the scenes, bound by one mission: to remove the parasitic system that's enslaved the world? Currency manipulation, election interference, war for profit, child trafficking rings. This isn't just corruption, it's evil in its purest form, and it had to be rooted out with precision. This isn't just war. This is fifth generation warfare, where the battlefield isn't just land or sea, it's your mind, your perception, your belief in reality. Weapons aren't just bombs, they're headlines, sound bites, false flags, and scripts. And yet, beneath all the noise, a quiet, calculated war was unfolding, one that had to be hidden to be won. So ask yourself, how would you go about this? Would you unleash mass arrests on live television and trigger panic, riots, and civil collapse? Or would you turn the system against itself, using your own actors, your own cameras, your own stage to keep the illusion alive while dismantling the machine behind the curtain? It's not just about waking people up, it's about protecting them while they do. If the enemy uses actors, masks, and theater, then why not beat them at their own game? What if compromised figures were replaced with doubles or actors, not to deceive the people forever, but to preserve order while exposing the illusion? What if the greatest red pill of all wasn't something they told you, but something they showed you over and over until you had no choice but to question everything? The illusion had to be real enough to hold, but flawed enough to crack. And once it cracked, there was no going back. Some people still mock the idea of a quote unquote movie. They don't get it. This wasn't popcorn entertainment. It was the most sophisticated psychological operation of our lifetime. To dismantle mass mind control, you don't scream at the hypnotized. You guide them. You mirror the illusion back to them until it breaks on its own. That's the purpose of the movie, not to distract, but to awaken. Let's talk logic. Why would they use multiple Joe Bidens? Different earlobes, different voices, different walking gaits, even different personalities. Why the green screen gaffes? Why the digital glitches? Why would Trump constantly draw attention to saying, Joe shot? Why so many visual inconsistencies? Because they want you to question it. It's not just sloppy optics, it's calculated comms. And if you still think this is all a coincidence, then ask yourself this. Why did over 30 world leaders resign during Trump's presidency? Why were their entire governments collapsing at the same time? Why were mass CEOs stepping down in waves? Why were royal families quietly going silent or dying? Why were legacy media empires exposed, defunded, and disgraced one by one? This wasn't chaos, it was precision, it was war. You may not be able to prove the silicone masks. You may not, or you may never see one ripped off on camera, but what you can prove is the pattern. The altered features, the CGI glitches, the shadows that defy physics, the inconsistencies that stack up with every public appearance. Discernment isn't a conspiracy. It's the last weapon we have in a war of illusion. And those who can still see through the fog are the most dangerous to the enemy. Yes, this has taken years. People are tired, but guess what? The the reason this hasn't ended yet is because we are this close to ending it right. This war was never about speed. It was about ultimate victory. No second chances, no mistakes. Because once the whole truth drops, there's no going back from dark to light. To those who still say Q is just a psyop to pacify patriots, then explain this. Why were timestamps, deltas, comms synced to the minute, even the second, for years? Why did Trump's tweets align with the Q drops hundreds of times, if not more? Why did real events echo symbolic phrases years after they were posted? A psyop doesn't empower people to think for themselves. A psyop doesn't spawn millions of digital soldiers worldwide. This wasn't meant to trap you, it was meant to train you. And I do know that there's an argument of psyops can be good too. So, I mean, there's two ways to look at that part. But no, it wasn't about sitting back and eating popcorn. It was about watching with awareness, learning to decode, learning to question, learning to see. The movie is the metaphor for layers of deception that the sheep mistake for truth. The popcorn, that's just a reminder that once you wake up, you'll never watch the world the same again. Think of all the calms over the last 10 years. Trump walking to the church with the Bible, the gold ties, the military salutes, the 17 flags behind him, the handshakes, the pauses, the double meanings, every word, every move, a script within a script. And for those with the eyes to see, it was never random. This isn't history repeating. This is history reversing. Because the day they shot JFK, whose real last name is Clooney, the world spiraled into an even deeper false timeline. A timeline already run by bankers, by blackmail, by bloodlines. But that moment they thought they cemented their grip and launched the final phase of their agenda. What they didn't anticipate was the silent rise of those who swore an oath to end it from within, not just to avenge a fallen president, but to restore a stolen republic. So, what happens when we win? What happens when fiat dies, when the Fed dissolves, when the IRS falls, when election fraud is fully exposed? What happens when the people learn the truth about what the system really was? That it wasn't a government, it was a machine, one designed to extract your energy, your labor, your freedom, and that's what's at stake. This that's what this war was really about. It's okay to admit we don't know it all. We're not supposed to. This is war, and war doesn't come with play-by-plays. Only hints, only signals, only comms. But you don't need to know the full plan to know that there is one. You don't need to see the battlefield to fight with truth, heart, and faith. And when this ends, when the final credits roll, you'll understand why it had to be this way. The masks, the doubles, the chaos. Because if people weren't shown the truth, then they would never believe it. The movie was the only way, because the movie is fake, but the war was always real. Stay steady, stay vigilant. Something tells me the ending will be well worth it. The end. And so, yeah,
Damn,
that one, yeah.
This
that's
this
damn
this
good right
text is
there.
Thank you.
it's brilliant. Congratulations.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. It felt good getting that one off.
Yeah. It was so brilliant. It was brilliant. That's all it was. And just I can listen to it over and over again because all of us that are on this panel, we've been through it all. It's almost like we went through boot camp. We've had to reboot and relearn everything um, because everything in our life was a lie. And that's been the hardest thing. And even going back to the old negative 48 days a few years back, I mean, the first thing I worked on was our ego. And once you learn how to let go of your ego and open up your mind, as Charlie Ward would say, open your mind's like opening your parachute. You can land safely if you open up your mind. And many of us have put thousands and thousands of hours into researching the truth and discern the truth. And Jason probably has quadrupled that. So that's I wanted to share Ben's talents and his knowledge with every one of you that are listening and everyone that's on the panel, because this is we're rewriting history, and the Patriots are doing our share. We know that the military men and women are on the front forces doing a lot of things in the dumps, and dealing with a lot of things that you can't even imagine. But I really appreciate you, Ben, and I'm so proud to know you as a patriot, as I am with many of the patriots I'm finding on X, and then Rob, Rob Cunningham, has been a tremendous asset to all of us too. So I just wanted to thank you for those posts, and we'll continue to share them as they come to you. Does anyone want to add to that?
Can I ask Ben a question? And I want to tell the audience that I apologize. Like, no one's seeing Ben's profile picture on the live stream. I think they will see it on the recording if you're going to be watching this on YouTube. But you have a very interesting profile picture. It's the same as your profile picture on X. And I'm noticing you have the hedge race car with the turtle driving it in the top of the hat. And actually, it's funny because like that was the video on Nino's Corner.tv with 𝕯𝖚𝖚 where I first realized that 𝕯𝖚𝖚 was like in Trump's inner circle, and he was talking about being at all these meetings at Mar-a-Lago, and like I saw he was actually there. So I'm wondering, like, what's the significance of that to you? Did you have the realization at the same time, or is it some kind of slow and steady wins the race reference?
You know, it's funny you bring that up because yeah, that's the exact episode that I got it from, and yeah, you hit that right on the head. And I just was trying to decode it. I posted it on my Telegram, and I was just thinking, like slow and steady wins the race. Number 8, that's God's number. God is winning the race. Uh, whatever stuff green can represent, or that has to do with this awakening. And I don't know. It stood out to me, and when I was creating this profile pic, I was like, hey, this fits right here. So I just put that there. So
Yeah, I'm actually doing a screen share right now of the image so that people on the live stream can see it. So this has been Ben's image the entire video, and I apologize that he just appears as a ghost for everyone on the live stream, but I think it will be there on the recorded version. So yeah, it's a nice conglomerate, and I see you got a JFK Jr.'s crash plane there on the R, and there's a lot going on there. Is that -48 in the lower left?
no, that's not -48. That's a patriot that Trump had recognized, along with a patriot right next to him as well. And yeah, that's a supposedly it could have been one of JFK's characters. I'll just
Oh,
say it like
okay.
that. I don't know the truth for sure, but yeah, there. If you do watch the Jesus Strand, which is an amazing documentary video on Rumble that you guys can find, there's a part 1 and part 2. It's with -48 and Sabrina Gal, and yeah, prayers for Sabrina Gal if you guys know her. She's in the Patriot community, and yeah, so this Jesus Strand explains, the significance of this guy in the D-Day survivor hat. So he represents JFK. If not, he is one of the people that he's played. So JFK Senior. And for those that say like, oh, he's too old to be alive, or I saw his head get blown off, I believe that's the programming that has, been, yeah, you would think that someone didn't survive that, but I think you'd be surprised with what technology we have access to, and just the possibilities of what is possible, pretty much. So I would just ask people to open their minds to that if you feel triggered or something, or because I talk to a lot of people online, and I trigger a lot of people just with sharing some of this stuff. So yeah, maybe we just don't know the full truth yet, and that Jesus Strand documentary will open your eyes. And Michael Protzman, aka -48, is just such an amazing teacher. It's just phenomenal. He's changed my life phenomenally, just exponentially, just changed the way I view this world. So I highly recommend watching the Jesus Strand parts 1 and 2. So thank you.
You bet. Thank you, Ben. Yeah, and I second that. Um, Jason, you got any parting words?
Um, not really.
Okay.
Not really. But you know what? There is one thing what Ben should do is he should read all of his tweets and put them on TikTok. You know, like a storyteller, and then just put it on there, and then because I mean, hell,
That's
yeah,
smart,
I
bro.
don't make TikToks, but if you think about it, just read the post and all that, and if it wakes up one person, it does its job.
Yeah, I never
On
dabbled into
TikTok,
TikTok other than there's this guy called Cheese Tunes 84 and he looks exactly like and sounds exactly like Robin Williams, but I recommend people
oh
looking him up.
yeah,
But yeah, but that's the only time I'm ever on TikTok. But yeah, I'll definitely look into that. Jason, thank you, bro.
yeah, that'd be awesome. Because I mean, that was just mind
Coming
blowing.
from coming from you, that means a lot, bro. Absolutely. I've
It's
looked up to you a while now, so
and that's the thing. It's like, like you mentioned, you don't have to know everything in order to understand that we're getting screwed around. All you have to do is ask yourself that one question. It's all one question, and now people are starting to ask themselves that question and they're starting to realize that this is a lot bigger and darker than we thought, but it's still going to get a lot darker, unfortunately.
Thanks,
yeah.
Jason. Mike, any last words?
No, I just want to say thanks to Ben for sharing everything that he did. If he needs any assistance on our end to put, I agree with Jason. I think everything he did is a production that it's um, reach out to me and we'll put this thing together on a. I mean, I think what you did is just it's phenomenal. What you said, it's so powerful. So I thank you for being part of the show, and I, like anything else, I, uh, I take this as an invitation to be a brother, from here on out. So thanks for being part of it.
Thanks, Mike.
Absolutely.
I'll share your information with Ben, and I know you two could work out something. Dylan,
Yep.
It's been a great show. I loved Ben's analysis. I'm glad to be following him now on X, and so I'll recommend everyone watching this check him out on X, even though he already has more subscribers than me. But no, he's putting out good content. I do a lot of reposting on X, and he's doing some pretty good original threads. Um, yeah, it's an interesting times, and I would also help people check out my latest video. I talked about Trump's press conference about this federalizing DC, but I also talked a lot about the history of projects and ghettos in America. And this ties in because Trump also made the statement in that presser that we're going to get rid of the slums. And, there's a lot of liberals who will freak out about that. But the big point I made at the end of my video I released last night is that we're not going to have the golden age if we still have, a quarter to a half of our city as slums. And so this has been engineered. Jason Q knows exactly who engineered it. The yarmulke wearers, let's say. And we've already and I go through the whole history of this in my video, but I talk about how from the mid-century we built these towering ghettos, towers and projects like massive 70-acre sites in multiple cities that literally all got torn down, like demolished. How much of a waste of taxpayers' money was that? And so now we've rebuilt them as like lower, two, 3-story townhouses, like it's going to change anything. And we're back in the same situation of if we tore them down the first time, we're probably going to have to tear them down again because like the infrastructure is terrible. And I think Trump, he's going to have a heavy hand in this, but something needs to be done. And one thing I want to bring up that just shows Trump's character. He's already talking about how he's renovating DC, and it seems like minor things like fixing the medians and cleaning up the graffiti. But it's really like an overall aesthetic thing of the image of our whole country. Are we going to let lawlessness and criminals like deface, the most beautiful, what should be the most beautiful places in our country or not? And one thing I saw when I was at Trump Doral last spring for the Charlie Ward Expo was I was the last one at the bar. We had these conversations late into the night, and as I was walking back to my room through the lobby, I see someone. He's on the floor and he's repairing the marble on the floor with epoxy. And I just thought, like, it's so genius. It's so Trump to like keep everything looking perfect, but not necessarily have to replace the whole marble. Like, no one's going to notice if there's like an epoxy fill on these things. But it's like that's the level of detail that Trump goes into. Like, he will repair things to make it look perfect. And it's not like a cheap way to repair it either. It's sensical. It's the right way to do things. That's not wasteful either, because there's a lot of other probably contractors where a little something's broken, like in your AC, for example, and they'll be like, we're going to replace the entire thing when it really only needed like a new spring or whatever. And Trump is it's not necessarily about being frugal, but he's economical and he's not wasteful, while at the same time understanding luxury and things like that. And so I think he's more than qualified. He may be the most qualified person in the world to be doing this project of removing the projects and finding something, what to do with these people. And that's a whole other question that I have begun thinking about and getting into, like, potential solutions of the bigger problem of poverty and projects and ghettos in America. But that's just where I'm at for now. And so check out that solo video and check out dsmp.io for all my posters. This is a completely different subject, but the brand new seed oil poster has been released in multiple formats. So check that out on dsmp.io. And thank you to everyone on this panel for being true to yourself and for bringing the truth to the wider audience.
Thanks, Dylan. Appreciate it. And then there's Anna. Anna, would you give us your last words? And then I'll have you say your prayer in Portuguese, and then I'll say it in English.
Thank you, Qranker. Thank you all for having me again. Thank you, Ben, for joining us. I hope to see you soon here. God bless you, your family, and please keep doing your letters from your heart to all of us, because that has been a great content and shared to many Brazilians, and it's a way to bring calmness to their hearts and enhance the calm before the storm, during the storm, because we already in the storm, right? Thank you, Ben. God bless you all.
Can I say one last thing really quick?
You bet, Ben.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys again for having me on. It's such an honor and a privilege to be on this show with you guys and to be able to, show some of the stuff I've been working on. And for those that are kind of going crazy in this war, it's hard to know what's real from fake. I think that it's beneficial to be at ease with not knowing the truth, and just sometimes it's nice to just work on yourself and just find these attack vectors that the cabal has been infiltrating and attacking us with through every aspect of our society, and make your life better by removing those toxins or getting those things out of your life, because that's something I focused on, like when I'm not like researching or if I'm not with my kids or at work, then it and I've just feel so much more clear-headed now, just getting those poisons out my body. And yeah, I just think that's something that I like to add at the end of some podcasts, just to remind people sometimes. And yeah, if I can share any of the light that my teacher shared with me, Michael Brian Protzman, aka -48, then I did my job. So I'm so glad that you guys enjoy them, and thank you for sharing them, like in Brazil and South America in general. And yeah, thank you guys again. God bless. And where we go one, we go all.
Awesome, Ben. My last words are this. I can't be prouder to be a part of Qranker's Pit. It wasn't my name. Dylan came up with it. So Dylan is the author of Qranker's Pit, but we've had some tremendous shows and some incredible panel members. And I'm thankful for Jason, I'm thankful for Mike. I'm thankful for Ben now being new, and Dylan and all the work you do behind the scenes. I appreciate it. And everything that I do with Anna and Brazil and all the Brazilian people. I'm so blessed with so many patriots in Brazil that have welcomed me into their community, and I'm honored. And just know that Jason and Dylan and Ben, your work is being shared in South America and through Anna, and then we're bridging, for everyone. We're all God's children, and we're in this war together. And where we go one, we go all. So thank you. I want to thank everyone who stayed up late to watch this. And then I'd like to end in prayer. So Anna, would you say your prayer in Portuguese, and then I'll say it in English?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Qranker. This is something that we wrote together this today, and it's important. It's for all of us. I'll say it in Portuguese because I know there are many Brazilians and Brazilians all over the world, Brazilians and Portuguese speakers. So it's the following. I'm sorry, Qranker will do the translation as following. Dear querido Pai, viemos com o coração humilde para, antes de tudo, lhe agradecer o presente que é enxergá-lo em sua glória renascida em nosso coração. Nesse momento, em especial, pedimos pela sua sabedoria àqueles que caminham à nossa frente para fazer o necessário e restabelecer a sua justiça à nossa volta. Pedimos-lhe que os cubra em bênçãos infinitas e assim se mantenham corajosos e capazes de executar, sob sua proteção, a sua obra, como instrumentos vivos de sua vontade, para reunificar e trazer serenidade à humanidade. A todos os que nos recebem em seu tempo e sua lealdade, agradecemos a possibilidade de juntos engrandecermos nossos dias por meio de conversas que importam, que nos elevam e nos conduzem ao pleno contentamento que é viver em sua companhia. Com o coração aberto, nos dispomos a realizarmos juntos e em cada um de nós a sua palavra viva. Minha casa e eu honraremos o teu nome e o daqueles que dedicaram seus dias a construir um mundo em verdadeira paz, amor e harmonia. Yes, Qranker.
Thank you, Anna. I'll translate now. Dear Father, we come with humble hearts to first and foremost, we thank you for the gift of seeing you and your glory reborn in our hearts. At this moment, especially, we ask for your wisdom and your strength for those who walk before us to do what is necessary to reestablish your justice around us. We ask you that you shower our Q military and all those who are in the plan, including all of us patriots, with infinite blessings so we remain courageous and capable of carrying out your work under your protection as living instruments of your will to unite and bring serenity to humanity. To all who welcome us with their time and loyalty, we thank you for the opportunity to enrich our days together through conversations that matter, that uplift us, and lead us from full commitment in living in your company. With open hearts, we are willing to carry out your living word together to each one of us. My family and I will honor your name and those who dedicated their days to building a world of true peace, love, prosperity, and harmony. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone. God bless you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you too, Ben.
Appreciate it.
Before we close this, if you're watching this on New Templars, make sure you subscribe to We Not Me on Rumble or YouTube. And if you're watching this on We Not Me, make sure you come over and subscribe to New Templars on Rumble or D.S.M.P Nexus on YouTube. So thanks everyone, and we'll be ending the live stream now. And we'll be stopping recording now.